All right, Husker fans, that's a win. That's a win against an FBS opponent. That's a Big Ten win. It's been a long, long time. 9-game losing streak against FBS opponents comes to an end. Going back to that Northwestern game from last season, Huskers defeat Indiana with a big barrage in the fourth quarter. Greg's here. We're fired up. We're ready to talk Nebraska football with you right here at Huskers Live at the Voice of College Football. Greg, how's it going tonight?
It's going, Mark. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing just fine. If you need to get up and walk around, if you need to, I don't know, have a stretching session off to the side or anything you need to do for that back, you go ahead and do it. It's not worth it sitting here with us for 60 minutes.
It's no stranger playing hurt to me. So
okay, all right. Okay, just want to make sure you do the right thing for you. Okay?
I'm always the guy there saying, "Coach, I can go back in." So
all right.
I'm all right.
That doesn't surprise me. I know that. All right, everybody, leave those comments and questions in the live chat. We will get to them, and we will talk some, of course, the matchup with Rutgers coming up on Friday night. Friday night game.
Yeah, huh? The Piscataway.
On to Jersey.
I will not be there, but I keep telling everybody that's going there to go hit up Destination Dogs, which is a pretty tasty place to eat at in Piscataway. They're pretty close to campus.
Okay.
There you go. There's a plug for Destination Dogs right there.
Well, they're not plugging us.
No, they're not. But I gave them one, so maybe they'll throw a sponsorship in there.
Well, we do have a sponsorship. That's a good one. So we appreciate Gene Arthur Associates and want to let and remind everyone that Nebraska Live is brought to you by Gene Arthur Associates. They've been so kind to us and have done a fantastic job. So get your instant quote for home, auto, and all your insurance needs. And we'll talk a little bit about that further, but also want to let everyone know that we had a winner for the first Nebraska ticket giveaway, and they showed up at the ball game against Indiana, and they saw a win. So maybe this ticket giveaway, maybe we are good luck.
I agree. I mean, you know what? And Mitchell called me too. He was just getting to the game, and I was already down in the field when he was coming through the gate. So, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to meet up with him. But maybe on the next what's Illinois game, the next winter, maybe we can hook up a little bit sooner, a little bit earlier, and do a meet and greet for Gene Arthur and Associates.
Yes. So keep that in mind. If you want to meet Greg at the game, you got to show up a little bit earlier. You can't just show up at kickoff and he's got a job to do. He's there on the sideline. You got to show up early if you want to meet Greg. But yeah, we've got more tickets to give away. That would be 2 tickets. No purchase required. Don't have to get a quote. Don't have to do anything. So that's completely separate from your insurance needs and all that. This is just a flat out Huskers ticket giveaway brought to you by Gene Arthur Associates. So we appreciate them. What you need to do, go follow them on Facebook and Instagram. I'll be dropping those links in the live chat, but follow them on Facebook and Instagram, tag a friend, do all those things, and that automatically enters you into our Nebraska football ticket giveaway, courtesy Gene Arthur Associates for the Illinois game, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. I hear they've got a new coach. Anyway, Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and of course, there you go. And I'm going to claim it until something else happens here in the next game against Illinois that we're good luck with the ticket giveaway for the Huskers. 35-21, Greg, 21 all entering the fourth quarter. And so not only did the Huskers win, they won in non-Nebraska kind of fashion here over the last couple of years, is that they were in a tight game, and they were the ones that made the plays in the fourth quarter. They were the ones that weren't making the mistakes, and they pulled away.
They played physical for a change. Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush have made a big difference in the attitude of this team. And, I'm thinking a bye week really helped for them to kind of collect, themselves. And but yeah, I mean, they put together pretty much a complete game where the offense was clicking at times, the defense was clicking, and the special teams was clicking. You had a big time block punt there that changed the tide of the game early on, and hey, this is something that Nebraska fans have been waiting to see, and it really it all came out pretty well in the end. Yeah, there was a few mistakes made, but Nebraska really they showed me something there. A lot of different change in attitude and stuff, and especially on the defense. So we'll see. I mean, it's a win against Indiana. Yeah, it's a conference win, but Indiana's not the greatest team out there in the country right now either. And we'll see what Nebraska can do now moving forward, going to Rutgers on Friday night, and hopefully you can put two of them together and start building some momentum. But Mickey Joseph is really, I think he's instilled a lot of fire back into this team, and they've kind of found something here, and we'll see how it progresses. I mean, right now the Big Ten West is wide open. There's a 6-way tie for first place in the West right now. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? They can get to Indianapolis right now. Everything's possible.
A 6-way tie, and the team that's in last place was the preseason favorite to win the division.
And just fired their coach.
How about that? Did that one surprise you as much as it did me?
Oh, it floored me. But I kind of understand, I think, what they're thinking. That, I mean, it's funny because I started hearing things from some of my contacts around. Going hard. Wisconsin's going all out on Lance Leipold. That kind of stuff. But then when I hear that, I think Wisconsin's basically their defensive coordinator is the guy that they're grooming for the next head job there. So
sure,
it's bizarre. I mean, and then you have teams like in their press conferences like Kansas and Kansas State, and they're getting bombarded by questions about the Nebraska job. So it's just such a bizarre time that we are in right now in the world of college football. I'm telling you, Mark, especially from around this part of the country. You're not used to this kind of stuff.
Coaches never got fired until the season was over, unless there was some kind of scandal that broke out.
Yeah, unless something really direly went wrong, and it was obvious that you had to fire this guy. But yeah, it's just I don't know how many coaches have now been let go mid-season. Like 6, I think. 5. Okay, yeah.
Got 5.
Yeah.
And we just finished up week 5. That's not happened before.
No, we're not used to this. We're not used to this day and age of college football with the transfer portal the way it is. And I mean, it's the wild, wild west. And you want to keep saying that just because Nebraska's in the West division of the Big Ten.
Well, the difference in the Chris firing is that the rest of those guys were not succeeding where they were. Now, he was having a bad season, of course, but he's been to the Big Ten championship game 3 times. He's finished in the top 25 all those years. He was 43-18 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So he was the one guy that you would, right. Nobody would have raised an eyebrow if they would have gone 4-8 or 5-7 this year, and he would have marched right into 2023 with a job. Like nobody would have said, "Well, Paul Chryst needs to get fired."
Yeah, you wouldn't think of that. And I mean, is Wisconsin now stepping into that trap that Nebraska got themselves into when they fired Frank Solich? That's kind of what comes up to mind with me. But Nebraska's never been the same since Frank Solich got fired. And, Paul Chris has been running the same program there for quite a while that has been very successful. And I don't know. Why do you make a change like that in the middle of the season with a very successful coach? Just for losing a couple of games, it doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know. I'm not dialed into the Wisconsin media scene there, so it is just mind-boggling to me.
They've lost 3 games. The first game, they outplayed the other team. They gained over 150 more yards. They just made mistakes in the red zone, turned over the ball against Washington State, which is a pretty darn good football team, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And then their other loss, was not pretty. They got annihilated, blown out, but they might have been playing the best team in the country. And then this third loss was really the first one where, okay, they were playing a decent team, not a great team, and they got whipped. So the one thing I will say when you say Indiana's not very good, and I'm not claiming that Indiana's not good.
Don't say that I said they're not very good.
You didn't say that. I thought that's what you said.
Well, that's not very nice.
Okay. However you said it, you gave the vibe, at least to me, that Indiana's not very good. But the point I was going to make is Illinois is looking pretty good at this point. And
they're looking very good.
Yeah. Indiana beat Illinois.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Brett Bielema's got something boiling there in Champaign, it sounds like to me that, it looks like they're on the right track. And, Nebraska's like, we know that they're going to Rutgers here on Friday and then a game at Purdue, which Purdue's playing very well. Big win for them this weekend. And then you get Illinois in here for the next home game here in Nebraska. And I don't know, year in and year out, you always think that, Nebraska, they're going to handle Illinois no problem. But, we've seen here, history tells you here lately that that's not the case. And I don't know, to your point, Illinois looks like one of the better teams right now in the Big Ten West. It's hard to say what's going to happen throughout the rest of the season, especially with Minnesota taking that loss this weekend. So it's kind of crazy. And, we heard from the coordinators today, Mark Whipple and Bill Bush. And Mark Whipple said many times today during his press conference that telling his guys that, hey, right now you're in first place. Anything can happen. And, you can still get to Indianapolis and play for the conference title. So it's just weird the way things are working out right now. When you saw what a poor start Nebraska had for the season, and then you make a coaching change and all of a sudden, I mean, the attitude's totally changed around here, across the team and the administration and the fan base. It's pretty crazy.
First line of comments that came in regarding anything to be addressed here had to do with Trev Alberts. There's a comment from Brian about what are your thoughts about Trev pumping up the defense on the sideline during the game? And Cornhusker Corner says Trev is acting like an NFL GM. It's what this program needs right now.
Hey, Trev Alberts is the number one fan for this football team that you can even imagine. I mean, we go back to when we were in Ireland. We talked after the game there, and Trev stood by me most of that game over in Dublin, and I had a unique kind of aspect of observing Trev while a game is going on, and he was turning around and pumping up the crowd in Ireland. This is nothing new to the way he reacts. I mean, Nebraska football is in his blood, and he wants it to succeed more than anybody does. And he is one of the number one fans for this team and this program. And, yeah, he's going to be out there and he doesn't mind with cameras on him and, turn around, pumping up the crowd and all that stuff. I mean, he's got nothing to hide. And that's why I think that, Nebraska is in a very good situation with their athletic director more than, you go back to probably when Tom Osborne retired. It's in such a more stable spot than it has been. And you know darn well that Trev Alberts is going to do the best thing possible for this university and this football program. And heck, I mean, if you want to go into that coaching search talk, right now I think Mickey Joseph is leading the charge in that. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, because I think for as ugly as that Oklahoma game was, and for as ugly as Oklahoma's played since then, for a guy to take over an entire football operation 5 days before playing Oklahoma, you got to give that a pass. And
at the time, number 6 ranked team in the country at the time. And
at the time.
Yeah.
Well, this defense, we've got a question coming in, or more so, I was going to say a comment, but it is a question. I've lost track of it. But basically, there it is from Memphis Reigns. Because you look at the performance against Indiana, and I didn't see this game start to finish. I was in on it in the second half. What's that?
Said shame on you.
Shame on me. Yeah. You can beat me up, Nebraska fans. I'm not watching every Nebraska game. I'm sorry. I try to watch everybody at the same time. So that's the way it goes. So 3 or 4 games on at the house here all the time. But Indiana couldn't run the ball. 2.9 yards per carry. They only hit really 3 passes downfield, over 20 yards. They only gave up 50% completion percentage passing. Again, we're not selling Indiana as a great team. And most importantly, your points scored, and they pitched a shutout in the second half. So Billy Bush takes over. Do we think that the defense was too complicated?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the key right there, Mark. I mean, Bill Bush told us today that, what the difference was, and they got lined up. They got cleats in the ground, and we're ready to go, and then you can make adjustments. Before this game, that wasn't happening. And plus, simplifying things a little bit, especially at the beginning of the game when they simplified things and would just call the same formation a couple times in a row and eliminate people trying to think about where they need to be and stuff. And it made a big difference. It really did. And then they can start concentrating on the physical part of it. But they just, for the first time this season, they were playing free and fast, and it's something we hadn't seen. And I mean, they were swarming to a ball like we've been used to seeing in the last couple of years from this defense, and it made a big difference. And so there's a lot to build on, moving forward right now. Just by the way that Bill Bush is kind of taking command. And I mean, this guy, to me, is amazing how fast he can read situations and then change things up just by studying a little bit. This guy's he's very, very impressive, as is Mickey Joseph. I mean, I've been around here for a long time, and both of these guys are a big-time breath of fresh air that I think Nebraska football needs to have on this staff, no matter what happens in the coaching search and whoever they end up ultimately naming head coach. But if it's not Mickey Joseph, I think you have to keep Mickey Joseph on the staff. You have to keep Bill Bush on the staff because they are 2 very unique, amazing coaches in my mind that I've not really in my whole career, 20 plus years, haven't really ever seen. I mean, and I'm talking a lot of head coaches and assistant coaches and guys that have been successful in college and NFL. These guys, they know what they're doing.
Folks, we got 100% guarantee that when we give away Nebraska football tickets, the Huskers win. That's all there is to it. That happens every time. Every time we give away tickets, Huskers win. So thanks to Gene Arthur Associates. We had our guy Mitchell was able to attend the Indiana game, see the Huskers win. And so we still have 3 more sets of tickets to give away, courtesy Gene Arthur Associates. So what you need to do is get on over to Gene Arthur Associates on Facebook. It's easy to find. I am going to leave the link in the chat, but you can find it easily. That's exactly the way I find it. I just go to Facebook, search Gene Arthur Associates, and it pops up right away, right at the top, so you can find it. But to make it easy, I'll leave the link in the chat. Go there and like and follow on Instagram. I don't know what the whole thing is on Instagram. Do you like, do you follow? Whatever you do there, do it. Like, I know you like. I do have an Instagram account. I just never go there. And so do all those things, tag a friend, and that will enter you into the drawing for Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin are the 3 games that we've got left, courtesy Gene Arthur Associates. So our big ticket giveaway, and we appreciate, again, Gene Arthur Associates for allowing that. And Mitchell had a great time and enjoyed a win for Nebraska.
And hey, when could you ever think that the way that Nebraska started the season off, that those 3 home games that you just rattled off there, each one of those means a heck of a lot with the way the standings are right now in the conference. So
hopefully,
those might have been dogs when you were looking at them earlier, like a month ago. But right now, those are meaningful games. So let's see.
And certainly Nebraska wasn't going to get this win against Indiana if their stars did not show up. Garrett Nelson, 2 sacks. Trey Palmer, 8 catches for $157, plus the long touchdown that broke open the game and got them the lead in the 4th quarter. Anthony Grant, of course, had a big day with 136 yards.
Hammer, yep. Anthony Grant is the real deal for sure. I mean, he carried the ball 32 times. And I kept thinking to myself, too, I was like, man, he's going to be sore tomorrow. And actually, it was kind of funny that I think it was yesterday when Mickey Joseph had his press conference, he actually mentioned that Anthony Grant didn't understand why he was sore. And the coaches were telling him to go get treatment. He wasn't used to that. But yeah, he's been a godsend for this team, and obviously has put his name, up there in the top echelon of running backs in college football right now. And I mean, everybody knows that, you're not going to be successful without help from up front. And that's why I think the offensive line really came together and played really well. There was adversities there, and obviously Turner Corcoran getting thrown out of the game with two consecutive penalties, personal foul penalties, and so you had to bring in some other guys that, like a Brant Banks and Hunter, what's his name? The Oklahoma State commit. But those guys, they split up snaps and played like 44 snaps, 45 snaps apiece. And, you saw a offensive line that kind of gelled a little bit and played with a little bit of passion. And obviously with Nebraska's shortcomings, they need to rely on that offensive line and that running game. And if they can do that, they're going to be in most of the rest of these games left on their schedule. So It's very interesting to see the changes that were made just in philosophy and just kind of simplifying things up. And then you had some big plays mixed in there, like you said, with Trey Palmer. He had his best game as a Husker, and obviously Casey Thompson's a guy that's he's a warrior. He's getting beat up like crazy, but he keeps on getting back up, and it's just overall it was a good thing for everybody to see, and the way that they could shut out Indiana there in the fourth quarter. Well, actually, shut them out in the second half, and the defense rose up and took on a challenge. And I think Ty Robinson was one of the major factors in that. He had one of his best games that he's had in a couple of years. And Bill Bush had even commented on how he was leaning on Ty there to kind of get everything together. And it kind of paid off. So, heck, let's see what happens Friday night in Piscataway. I'll be tuning in for sure.
So
that means probably I can make your post game show this week, since I'm not going to New Jersey, unfortunately.
What's that?
Or fortunately, I said I'm not going to New Jersey.
Yeah, we'll take it. Will
take
it for sure.
I will pass up any chance that I get to pass up going to New Jersey. I take it.
Yeah, well, that's it's really not in my range anymore, but it used to be. That used to be 2 hours away, so that would come up from time to time. But Greg, what do you make of this situation, if anything? So I didn't see this. Casey Thompson got chewed out on the sideline by enraged offensive coordinator Mark Whipple after taking a drive-killing sack in the second quarter. Thompson was on the bench when Nebraska got the ball back at the 10, but that was when
Chubba
Purdy fumbled, and that turned into a touchdown.
Yep. No, it was actually, that was more Mickey Joseph than Mark Whipple pulling Chubba or pulling Casey out, and it was a very interesting conversation that they'd had, and Mickey even talked about that yesterday on Monday. That he had Casey come into his office, and Casey was obviously upset for getting taken out of the game, and Mickey explained to him, he's like, hey, this is what happens sometimes. You got to come out of the game and watch the game from the sideline for a little bit and let me talk to you. And, the way that Mickey is like, I'm going to tell you like it is. He says, like, Casey's not happy for getting taken out, but Mickey says the same thing. He's like, I'm not happy for taking you out, but it is what it is. And, it's a learning experience. And if it happens again, then I'm going to do it again. That's just the way he coaches. And I think that's just the biggest breath of fresh air he can think of, is that now you've got a couple guys in charge that actually know how to deal with players and, are not afraid to get right in there in the front lines and take any of the criticism and stuff. And I think the players respond to that big time. And Casey, he's not a young kid. I think he just turned like 25, or he's going to turn 25. He's an old man. And, he's very straightforward and upfront with anything, which is also very cool. And you know what? He's not. He shrugged it off, and he's good to go. It wasn't a big deal, and unfortunately, the timing, like you said, that Chubba got. He coughed up the ball, and it cost Nebraska at the time, but it didn't cost him the game. So it was a learning experience for everybody. But bottom line too is that Mark Whipple and Mickey Joseph are going to get Chubba Purdy some snaps here and there anyway, just because you need to get these guys some reps just in case something happens to Casey Thompson, because we know how the problems with the offensive line have been, and you have to be very careful with Casey Thompson, because he's taken a lot of damage here already early in the season, and you got to kind of pick and choose the spots of where you're going to use him when he's exposed. So, bottom line is that this offensive line started to play a little bit better, but they are obviously much better run blocking than they are pass blocking. So, you just always kind of hold your breath every time Casey drops back there, and the protection collapses a little bit. So you kind of hold your breath a little bit, but so far so good.
Folks, we're here every Tuesday night at 6 Central Time, so get on back here next Tuesday, and the only difference is bring a friend or two or 50. A lot of people, bring them with you. Not just for Nebraska fans, even though that is the priority. Bring any college football fans with you as we talk Huskers every Tuesday. That's 6 Central. And we're posting these links on, I get on Nebraska Facebook groups and let them know that we're here. So hopefully we're reaching some new people. I would be interested to know if any of you found us through me leaving links on, I joined about 5 or 6 different Nebraska Facebook groups. And I go on there about once or twice a week, and I let people know that we're here on Tuesday night. So drop that in the chat if you found us on Facebook. Then I'll know that that's doing some good. Also, we're here after every Nebraska game with postgame. So join us Friday night after the Nebraska game for postgame. After the Rutgers game. And again, we got some tickets for you. We got a ticket giveaway for Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. That is courtesy Gene Arthur Associates. So what you need to do is get on over to Gene Arthur Associates on both Facebook and Instagram. Follow and like, tag a friend, and that automatically enters you into the contest to win some free tickets. And we're 1 for 1 on delivering wins when we give away tickets. How about that?
Next winter, let's do a meet and greet, and you can buy me a hot dog. How about that?
You talking to me? You talking to them?
No, whoever's the next winner.
Okay. All right. What else, folks?
Oh, you're going to make me look at questions?
I've asked all my questions. Here we go. We've got Brad says, Greg, can you talk about anything Nebraska has in the works about getting better audio for press conferences? There's a dead engine sounding feedback that shows up quite a bit. Annoying. Well, I didn't expect that question.
You know how many times I've heard that question? Hey, there's nothing that we can do about it on our end. All right. I've had to explain this so many times on YouTube channels and on chat or message boards. And this is it's a Nebraska thing. It's it's the way they have their press conferences set up. It's not made for people to hear the questions. It's a straight feed from the malt box to the podium. They do have microphones in the ceiling in the press box there, but they just don't show up very well. Not at least not for the media feed. I think if you listen to it on their feed, I think you do get the audio of the questions. But yeah, it's just we're all in the same boat there. Not much we can do about it. I don't know. We'll see maybe here when the new facilities are done, which are looking pretty amazing right now. And we actually move over there to the new facility with our dedicated media room. Things might change there. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm thinking maybe they will change there and you will be able to get that. But right now, the way things are, and you have to understand that we're doing our weekly press conferences outside of the Monday or Tuesday, the head coach one. We're doing these in the state, in the concourse of the stadium, and the workers are right outside, running all their equipment and everything, building the new facility. So things are kind of off right now, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if things change and we ultimately move over from the Monday press conference over to the new facility. But no, bottom line, answer for that question is we don't have anything to do with it on our end. I know people have asked several times, like, why don't they send somebody around with a microphone to, for the people asking the questions? Is what that. They would have to pay somebody to do that, and they're not going to do that. So, and I've had questions other people ask, why can't you just put a mic in there? They're like, all right, so you want me to get another person to work with a boom mic and drop it in there? That's just some of the crazy ideas, but no, it's a university thing, and we don't have anything to do with it.
I get it to a certain extent. Anytime you're watching a news conference, sometimes you don't know what the person's responding to. They just start talking. You don't know what was asked. So,
I mean, if you could, you got to turn up your volume all the way up, and if you can squint like with your eyes, you squint with your ear, you can kind of hear the questions.
All right, folks, appreciate you being here. So, yeah, Drizzle Stick has now valued your NIL value at 1 hot dog.
Hey, I'll take it. I like to have 2. 2 is the ultimate goal, especially when the media meal was not very tasty. I would like to always go get 2 hot dogs during halftime and put them in my backpack and eat them after I get home after the game. Sometimes I have to search around for a hot dog boy as well. It's unpleasant sometimes.
I thought we had some questions here. Now I'm losing track of them.
And if people, I don't know, hot dogs here, people that have had a Fairbury hot dog, let me know. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. But Fairbury hot dogs are amazing, and that's the taste of the stadium. And even when I lived in Nashville, I would come back home and I'd bring a bunch of Fairbury hot dogs back to Nashville and feed them to all my coworkers at the office, and they thought they were amazing.
I've heard of them. I've never
way
had
better
them.
than a Dodger dog any day.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite hot dogs. Now these are coming from the grocery store, Nathan's.
No, Nathan's are horrible.
They are?
I love Nathan's, all right, but
You love them, but they're horrible.
Yeah, I would unless I didn't have access to Fairbury hot dogs, then I would have to buy a Nathan's pack. But yeah.
Okay. I'll have to make a way to get one of these.
I'll send you some. How about that?
Absolutely. I'll eat them.
I know you will.
And I like the potato buns.
You have to steam them though.
Steam them?
Yeah, steaming them is the key.
Not grill them?
Well, you can grill them. Yeah, that's the second best. But if you steam them, then it gives you that stadium taste. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And you have to have your buns nice and soft.
Brad says, Mark, you can come to games sometime. You can have 10 of them. Well, I don't know if I know. Three would be good. I can down 3 of them. I'll do that. I don't know about anything past that. All right. What else do we have in here? Somebody wanted to know who's a better running quarterback, Chubba Purdy or Logan Smothers?
Oh, I thought I was going to hear Adrian Martinez in that question.
Well, there was a question about Adrian Martinez and what we think about Adrian having some success at Kansas State.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Good for Adrian. You know, Kansas State's doing well. And what else can you say? You got to be happy for him. But to answer that question, as a pure runner, I got to say Logan Smothers, but I think as overall quarterback, I'd kind of rather have Chubba Purdy out there. I mean, because he's a pretty good runner himself. But I think Chubba's he's got a little more experience and a little bit more talent in my eye. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Logan Smothers, but you know, Logan's been here for 3 years now, and it is what it is. He's still third on the depth chart. So, I mean, I think Chubba Purdy's got a lot of talent in the running game, but you have a depth chart for a reason. And Casey Thompson's number 1, and Chubba Purdy's number 2, and Logan Smothers is number 3.
The last 2 weeks, Adrian Martinez
Oh, God.
ran for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns this last week. He had 4 total touchdowns. He threw for 1, ran for 3, 171 rushing, and he ran for 148 yards the week before and 4 touchdowns against Oklahoma.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, hey, hats off to Adrian. I'm happy for him. He's found some success finally, and obviously in a different system where they are emphasizing the run game, and he's got a pretty good running back as well. That they form a pretty formidable duo back there in the backfield, and until teams can figure out how to stop that and make them throw the ball, they're going to keep having success. So, hey, it's crazy right now. You think about Kansas and Kansas State right now, just not very far down the road from us, that right now are very successful and are both in the top 25, which is something I never would have thought would be happening.
All right. 9 touchdowns in 2 games.
Isn't that great? I mean, my goodness. Obviously, he's not doing that all on his own either. I mean,
No.
He's got some help there up front and stuff, and Chris Kleiman, hats off to him. You know, he knows what he's doing there and knows how to play with the talent that he's got. He knows what to do with it. So, Kansas State's in very good hands with Chris Kleiman and obviously Kansas with Lance Leipold. I mean, my goodness, state of Kansas doesn't know what's going on right now.
A lot of people would like to see Lance. Man, I got to look up the pronunciation on his name because I've heard Leopold, whatever it is. I've known about it for a long, long time, but I just
Leipold, the way it's always been to me. So
okay.
I mean, he was here. He coached here. He was a graduate.
Okay.
So
Lance Leipold. Yeah. A lot of people would like to see him in Lincoln.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, him and Matt Campbell, obviously, and Chris Kleiman are all 3 really good candidates, you know, as younger upcoming coaches that, heck, they're all being very successful where they're at. And, you know, I don't know. Do they want to take on the challenge of a Nebraska with the pressure there? It's hard to say, but those 3 guys, obviously, very successful and on Nebraska's short list, obviously.
So I'm looking at the lines coming out. Again, it's 7 o'clock Eastern time in Piscataway. Nebraska on the road is a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 48.5. So it sounds like, what is that? 48.5. That's like roughly 25, 23, 26, 22 in that range. So Vegas is telling us that they think Nebraska is a slightly better team. I don't know what Zoe would say.
getting attacked. Sorry. Zoe, I'm live here. Stop.
Well, folks, anything else you got for us? We've covered the gamut.
Yeah, there's also, I mean, there's also, some other factors going into this game. Is, Bill Bush, he coached at Rutgers. He was there under Chris Ash, right after, when he took over after Schiano had left for the NFL and stuff, and so Bill Bush is very familiar with Rutgers, and so you got that kind of little side note going on in this matchup, and we'll kind of see. And I don't. Rutgers coming off of 2 losses. I mean, I don't know. With the atmosphere, I got to figure. 7 o'clock. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff in New Jersey on a Friday night. That's not easy to get to the stadium. I mean, so I'm not expecting a huge crowd or a fired up crowd, really. So I think like the hostile atmosphere kind of gets taken out of this equation for the game as well. And that's just, it's not like I'm from Jersey. I've been there enough, but I know how tough it is to get around, especially at that time of night. So we'll see. We'll see. I think Nebraska, I mean, they're adjusting to the short week, and this is going to be the first road game with Mickey Joseph in command, and Mickey Joseph really comes across as such a genuine guy and such a player's coach. It's funny. You hear people like Garrett Nelson, defensive people, saying that Mickey Joseph is a big reason why I'm here, even though Garrett Nelson was recruited before Mickey was on the staff. But the respect that all these players have for Mickey Joseph and the way that he treats them and all of that, just interacts with them is just amazing to me. That it's something that I have not seen in my time here at Nebraska. Seriously, cover it, full time here at Nebraska, starting with Bo Pelini and on from that.
We're posting the Rutgers current stats. They're not necessarily going to wow you with a prolific passing attack. They don't like to throw it too much. And as you can see there, they've had to start a number of quarterbacks. Noah Vedral, who's been their starting quarterback recently, has not been that guy this year.
Touched on that one, have we?
But it's been Evan Simon.
Noah Vedral, obviously, Wahoo, Nebraska native. His dad and his brother, or his dad and his uncles played here. And, he went to UCF to play for Scott Frost, and then came back to Nebraska, and things didn't work out here, and he went to Rutgers. And he played 4 snaps at Ohio State last week, which was the first 4 snaps that he'd taken during the season. He's been dealing with injuries. So yeah, Rutgers, they're using 3 quarterbacks basically, and it's going to be interesting to see if Noah Vedral is healthy enough to make the start or not. We don't know, but it was kind of cool to hear Bill Bush today talk. I mean, he knows Noah's dad, Mike Vedral, very well, as do I. Mike's a very cool guy, and he talked about the family and how tough they are, and so it will be interesting to see who starts at quarterback for Rutgers there come Friday night. If it is Noah Vedral, I think Rutgers' offense changes a little bit. I mean, they're so run heavy as it is. But Noah Vedral obviously is their best passing quarterback that they have on the roster, and who knows? Maybe they've been waiting until they play Nebraska to unleash Noah Vedral this year. I don't know, but it'll be cool to see what happens there when they kick off.
Matt's asking, what do you think the odds are that Mickey Joseph is named the next head coach at Nebraska? Well, I think that if he has a successful run, so what's that? What's that mean? Well, he took over with 8 games left, and except for the Oklahoma game, they're all going to be Big Ten games. So let's see, they're sitting at 2-3. If he gets them to a bowl game, if they're 4-3 in the next 7 weeks, and they get to a bowl game, I got to think he's on the brink. Like if he's not successful, if they go 5-7, I don't think they're going to retain him as head coach. But that's my thought. I don't know how sold they are on him. But if he has an overwhelmingly successful run, then I got to think, if they're sitting here at 8-4 at the end of the year and they're competing for the division title, then he's won himself a job.
Hey, you know what? It doesn't matter to anybody unless your name is Trev Alberts, really.
True.
You talk about it. But I will just say personally, with what I've seen and heard just in the last week, I think Mickey's the front runner for the job now. Don't run with this on social media or anything like that, but I've just gotten that feeling because of the way that the kids respond to him. And like I was saying earlier, there's guys on the defensive side of the ball love Mickey. I mean, everybody loves him. And just how genuine and how football smart he is really amazing. But he's the guy out there. He is out there. As soon as he gets out on the field, he is pumping up the team. And I mean, he'll get in somebody's face if he needs to, but it's all out of love. And the players know that. It's just, to me, it's a night and day difference than I've seen any head coach operate here at Nebraska. And I got to figure that right now he's the front runner in my mind. He's the front runner to get the job. Seriously. Now, if he doesn't, I think there's obviously whoever would be named the next head coach. If they don't retain Mickey Joseph on the staff here, then they are doomed. And I'll even throw Bill Bush into that equation as well. Because you do have 2 guys now here that are very fiery and know how to connect with the kids. That's the number one thing. Scott Frost might have been, he was more kind of a manager, didn't really want to get involved a lot in, the straight up head-to-head conversations and coaching that should be going on. Now you got some guys that are passionate about it, and my goodness, I've seen such a difference in this team and just the way people, just the swagger that they have now and stuff. They're actually confident now. I know it's only 1 win. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid or anything, but I've seen a big difference in the attitude of this team, and it's all due to Mickey Joseph. Seriously. I mean, he is a leader of men. Like I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of other guys that are this passionate about that. And he fits that mold. And I mean, he talks about toughness. I mean, he was asked yesterday about toughness. And he said, you know what? When I was growing up, and you got to understand, he's from a football family. I mean, obviously, his brother's an NFL coach. He said, growing up, if I'd be hanging out with somebody that my daddy didn't think was tough enough, then I couldn't hang out with that guy. So they preach toughness, and you've seen that transformation already. Just in that one game against Indiana. Like I said, okay, it's one game in Indiana, but you have not seen Nebraska play as physical and as tough as they played in that game in at least a year, maybe more. So that's what I kind of hang my hat on right now when I talk about the next head coach here at Nebraska. I feel like they already have him. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to play out how it's going to play out, and it's going to take a while. And like we talked about earlier, there's already 5 head coaches that have been fired already. I mean, there's already job openings, and we're in week 5 of the college football season right now. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before.
I don't think so. No.
It has. You've never seen, the transfer portal and the early signing days and all this. It just accelerates everything, and we're in a different age of college football. We really are.
All right, folks, get out your checklist. You got a number of homework assignments. Number 1 is if you want to go to a Nebraska football game for free and take a friend, a loved one, significant other, whoever that is, family member, we're not going to pry into your business just so 2 of you can show up. You get tickets to Nebraska, whether that's Illinois, Minnesota, or Wisconsin, courtesy Gene Arthur Associates. Talk to Mitchell. Mitchell had a good time at the Indiana game. Got to take in a win at Memorial Stadium. So we got 3 more giveaways. Again, Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin games. You go to Gene Arthur Associates. I've left the link in the chat. I'll do it again. And you just get there. You go to Facebook, like, follow, go to Instagram. You do the same. You tag a friend. Basically, you've automatically entered yourself into the ticket giveaway. Also, we'll be here after the ball game on Friday night to talk Nebraska football with you after the ball game, a little post game. And next Tuesday, bring it on back. Bring it on back here at 6 Central. And I'm also going to be available here in about a half hour on the main channel to take your calls. How about that?
I do want to throw in there, I hope our friend Freddie Arthur there handled Hurricane Ian okay down there in Florida.
Yes, from Gene Arthur Associates. My goodness. Yeah.
Haven't heard from him since before the hurricane came through. So hope he weathered the storm well.
He sent me a video where his entire neighborhood was just underwater.
Oh boy.
But it looked like after a day or 2, he sent me something else, another picture that it cleaned up okay. He said he was just happy that he kept basically his house dry.
That's well.
Kept the inside of the house dry.
Thank God for that. And a lot of other people they weren't able to do that.
No.
Yeah, it's horrible situation all the way around.
Every time I think that's where I'm headed to live.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Where I think, okay, that's where I want to set up shop, but maybe not necessarily.
At least I have a professional scuba diving rating, so at least I wouldn't drown.
No, you would not be the one. All right, everyone. Appreciate you being here. Again, get on over to Gene Arthur Associates on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to leave the link in the chat. There it is. All you have to do is like and follow and tag a friend, and you've automatically entered yourself into the giveaway for free tickets, Minnesota, Illinois, and Wisconsin games. For Greg, I'm Mark. Get on over to Husker Online video. Husker Online right here on YouTube. Do that as well. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday.
And I'll jump in on Friday night. How about that?